Going by and see the amazing statue of Ike with his presidential garb on, but more importantly, Ike greeting the 101st Airborne on the occasion of the eve of D-Day. It's very, very stirring. It's a famous photograph. Now it stands watch on Independence Avenue. A salute to every American who has served, to the greatest generation, to every generation thereafter. It comes amid a clear choice to choose peace through strength as Eisenhower embodied, and strategic ambiguity that he developed, or weakness, indecision, perfidy in some cases, incoherence in others. Joe Biden yesterday having a terrible day trying to get anything straight, and the rickety appearance of Joe Biden continues to alarm, and the inability of Joe Biden to say the most obvious things. He ought to have joined the chorus of condemnation of Iranian threats against the ambassador of the United States to South Africa. He's been silent. Meanwhile, he's out throwing shade and casting doubt on a vaccine at a very moment when we need a massive unity, a public affairs program from left to right, north to south, on every media possible to encourage people to get ready for and take a vaccine. Joe Biden is out joining the anti-vaxxers. In fact, Donald Trump went out last night and hit Biden on this, and I think this is very important. Cut number 9.
I'm calling on Biden to stop promoting his anti-vaccine theories, because all they're doing is hurting the importance of what we're doing. And I know that if they were in this position, they'd be saying how wonderful it is. They're recklessly endangering lives. You can't do that. And again, this is really a case that they're only talking, just started talking a little bit negatively, and that's only because they know we have it, or we will soon have it. And the answer to that is very soon.
And so Democrats are out there knocking the vaccine. That's going to kill hundreds of thousands of people. We've lost 200,000 Americans, probably the fewest that could have been lost after China's perfidy, after the Chinese Communist Party completely lied to us on every front, as National Security Advisor O'Brien said on this show yesterday. But the vaccine is coming, and we cannot have Democrats out there persuading people not to take it, suggesting that it's not safe. It's anti-vaxxer nuttery. Instead, we need a national campaign of unity. We need, I'll be happy to be part of it. I'm sure every broadcaster will. Get your vaccine, get it now. We need to get it out and get it distributed and get it taken by everyone as quickly as possible so the country can return to normal as soon as possible. The president also called for stimulus payments and massive economic relief bill yesterday. Between Nancy Pelosi's nutty bill and the Republican skinny bill, the president endorsed something called the Problem Solvers Caucus approach. It was unveiled Tuesday by the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus in the House. It's about $1.5 trillion. It's about halfway between the Republican plan and the Democrat plan. Makes a lot of sense. The president did not endorse it. He just said, take a look at it. That's big news. There's a lot of big news made yesterday. I want to begin, though, with the peace accord, the Abraham Accord, signed by Israel and the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Israel, the two Arab states joining with Israel to create peace. Jared Kushner went on Fox yesterday with Harris Faulkner, said this, cut number 1.
I remember being with you at the embassy move in Jerusalem when all these same experts who are belittling this deal were saying that that would lead to war and chaos in the Middle East, and that President Trump keeping his promise and recognizing Israel's sovereign right to declare their own capital was something that was, for whatever reason, going to make the Middle East less safe. Well, the opposite's happened. So I think what you've seen over the last 3 years is that the people who, hate President Trump, often irrationally, have been wrong and continue to be wrong. They said that when President Trump was elected to office that we'd see World War III, but yesterday at the White House we signed 2 peace deals. And just to give context to your audience, the last peace deal that was signed in the Middle East was 26 years ago between Israel and Jordan, and in 72 years of Israel's history, they'd signed only 2 peace deals, and then in the last month, we've done 2 peace deals in addition to those 2. So again, when President Trump took office, the Middle East was a mess. The so-called experts in Washington had their own way of doing it, and quite frankly, their way led to a lot of instability and a lot of failure, which hurt America in the Middle East. And obviously, President Trump is creating peace and pushing the region in a much more positive direction.
Good for Jared Kushner, and he is talking about the failed analysis of the foreign policy elite. John Kerry was at Brookings when he was Secretary of State in 2016, and this made the rounds on Twitter last night, and I will post it at Hugh Hewitt on Twitter. John Kerry, Brookings 2016, cut number 2.
There will be no separate peace between Israel and the Arab world. I want to make that very clear to all of you. I've heard several prominent politicians in Israel sometimes saying, well, the Arab world's in a different place now. We just have to reach out to them and we can work some things with the Arab world and we'll deal with the Palestinians. No, 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 and no. I can tell you that, reaffirmed even in the last week as I have talked to leaders of the Arab community. There will be no advance and separate peace with the Arab world without the Palestinian process and Palestinian peace. Everybody needs to understand that. That is a hard reality.
Actually, no, it's not. That is a hard mistake. That is a hard 100% error. There was peace this week with the Arab world. It is spreading. The Palestinians can join if they want, but no longer will the Arab world wait for the Palestinians and give them a veto over their own economic and security interest. Iran is the enemy. And John Kerry could not be more wrong. The appeasement deal with Iran was wrong. The assessment of the Palestinian centrality to peace in the Middle East was wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Let me check markets because yesterday in the rundown, the key story is actually the Federal Reserve. The Fed set higher hurdles for a rate increase, saying they're basically not going to raise interest rates until 2023. They're at 0. But the Financial Times says the new monetary policy came out to mixed reviews and that global equity slipped after the Fed comes up short. I don't know how it could come up short. So there's not much. I suppose it go do quantitative easing again, as it did after 2008. But the economy seems to be making a V-shaped recovery anyway. This is brought to you by